Hello crafty people, it's Sharon here again, and today I'm bringing you a slightly different video using alcohol pens but also shading with blendable pencils. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to show you a much quicker way to colour with your alcohol pens if you need to, and also a different way to get that shade and blend. So today I'm using a Crafter's Companion stamp called Exquisite Echinacea, and this is the final card that I made. So I'll just show you the stamp set in case you're interested. This is it, and it contains, as you can see, a variety of stamps, but also a little mask made out of mylar, which is really useful when you want to do a background around the back of your main piece. So I will talk about that a little bit later when I tell you about how I actually constructed my finished card. So that's where we're starting. Now it's time to get on with the colouring. So we're now ready to begin with the colouring, and I've pre-stamped my image onto a piece of Neenah cardstock using a Memento ink pad, but you can also use the Crafter's Companion alcohol pen ink if you wish to. Now we're going to start off with the main part of the flower. I looked up Echinacea on the internet and they seem to be a sort of pinkish colour in the main with an orangey brown centre. You can get them orange and other colours as well, but I thought I'd go for the pink. And I'm going to start with one of my Tri-Blend pens, the Pale Pink Blend, and I'm going to use Pale Pink 1, which you can see here. Now this is the fun part. It's so quick to do this first part. Usually I tell you to do a little bit at a time and make sure everything stays nice and wet. This time I'm going to colour all of my petals all in one go. And I actually want my ink to dry. The best thing with this technique is to use a very pale colour in your alcohol pen to lay down that colour, because this is actually going to end up being the highlight. So I am going round colouring the whole lot with my PP1. I'll just keep going. I'll do a few more just so you can see. And then we'll start to talk about the blending pencils. There we go. I think that's enough for now. Okay, and that's the alcohol pen done for this part of the flower. So we'll now move on to the blending pencils. These are also by Crafter's Companion. I'll just grab a tin for you. Here we go. So these are the colour blend pencils, not the aqua blend pencils. These ones blend with a special blending solution rather than water, and they are a variety of packs, but as you can see they've got a nice range of colours in each pack. Today I'm going to use the Essentials pack and some from the Naturals pack. The pack that you see here is the Naturals. We also need to use some blending solution, which is this liquid here, and to do our colouring we're using paper stumps, which are basically wads of paper rolled up very, very tight in a pencil shape. Now when I use my blending solution, what I like to do is to put it in one of these little tiny jam jars. I've put some makeup sponges in the bottom and I pour in a little bit of blending solution, and then I can dip my paper stump into there when I want to use it without saturating the paper stump. And you'll find that if you buy this blending solution from Crafter's Companion, it will last you forever. So this will make it last even longer. So that's what we're going to use. I'm going to put that up there to the side, just in shot hopefully. And then we're going to go on to our pencils. So I am choosing to use 2 shades of pink for my main flower, and these are the ones that I am choosing. I've got a medium and a dark tone, mulberry and russet, and these both came out of, sorry, I'm telling a lie, it's mulberry and, sorry, just trying to grab it, vivid pink. There we go. Sorry, I got my pencils muddled up. So it's mulberry and vivid pink. And both of these came out of the Essentials tin if you've got these pencils. And what we're going to do is just start adding some colour very simply to the leaves. And we're not getting too precious. We're just doing a bit of swiping of the pencil where we think the dark areas would be. So hopefully you can see. I'm going to actually zoom in a little bit. There, hopefully that's better. I'm going to turn my pencil, my piece of paper around a bit, and I am adding in little bits of colour, swiping towards the middle, but remembering that I want to leave that light bit in the middle as well. There we go. This one petals underneath, so that's going to be much darker. This one is to the front but slightly under that other leaf, so petal, sorry, so I'm going to just swipe there. Now I'm going with my darker colour, mulberry, and I'm doing the same thing but just in a much smaller area. You can swipe the pencil or flick or colour, whatever helps, whatever feels right to you. And as you can see, I'm working every single petal in my bunch. You could do this for the whole flower all the way around, but I don't want to leave you hanging. Because it doesn't matter, you can blend these tomorrow if you want, they'll still work. So I'm just adding a bit more of the pale pink, very lightly. Okay, now we're ready to go on to our blending stumps. So I'm just going to find my pink one. It's a good idea to have one for each colour type, because otherwise they're going to mix the colours, because you can see that some of the pigment remains in the top of the pencil. You can get that off afterwards using a sanding block, but there's no need to really if you just have one for each colour, a light and a dark perhaps. As you can see, I've already been using this because some of the oil has already moved up the pencil stump, but that's fine. So all we're going to do is take our little jam jar, dip in there, which will just bring a little bit of the oil, and then I'm going to just start pulling colour. And you probably can't see it very well at the moment, but what happens is it starts to emulsify that colour of the pencil and blend it out. As you pull it out, it fades away. But what it doesn't do anything to the Memento ink that you stamped with, and it doesn't do anything to the alcohol pen that you put underneath. But what it does, it just softens that. So you can see that was literally a minute's work. I forgot to add my dark bit in here, I think. Now it's a good idea to do all your colour layers at once, because as you emulsify this, it actually goes a little bit waxy, and there'll come a point where you can't add any more on. So it's a good idea to put your dark and your light all at once and then pull through once you've done that. Now, having done that, what I want to do now is add a little bit of dark shading into the middle of the flower, because I don't feel like I've quite got that shadow in there. And for that I've picked a pencil which is called Taupe, and I think that also came out of the Essentials pack. So I am going to go back in, and just in the dark areas I am just colouring lightly with my pencil where I think I need a little more shade, just like you would do with your pens. And hopefully you can see there's a very subtle indication of shade there. These ones at the back are quite heavily shaded by the centre part there, and this one is shaded in the middle and at the ends. That one I'm making quite dark. Now with that, you can either leave it as it is, or you can just use another blending stump just to soften it just slightly. And all it takes is a little wipe over with a slightly dampened paper stump which has been dipped into your blending solution. So that's how we make the petals. Now I'm going to go on to the centre part. And this is quite a bright orange, like a burnt orange colour with browny tones added to it. So what I chose for my pen to lay down the first part of this colour is my Tri-Blend burnt orange blend, and I'm going for B01, the lightest colour. And again, we're simply going to colour the whole area. What you can do, you can sort of go out a little bit into the main flower just to kind of bring it all together. Okay, so that's done. And then the pencils that I chose to complete the centre are the Russet, which made a sneaky appearance a few minutes ago by mistake, and Espresso, which is a really dark brown. The Russet is a reddish brown, and that comes out of the Essentials pack, and Espresso came out of the Primaries pack. So again, I'm following the same process. This is kind of a rounded centre, and I think this bit in the middle would be where the highlight is. So I am starting in the middle, and I'm going to make it darker at the bottom and then bring around, and imagining the shade, the sun is coming from this side, so I'm going to make this part darker. Now if you look at that on its own, there's not much of a colour differentiation there, which is why I then decided to go with a really dark brown in terms of this Espresso. And what I'm doing is adding that to the edges and a bit at the top there, and you can see already that that's making quite a difference. And I'm going to add a bit more of my russet tone as well. And again, you could leave that just like that and it would be absolutely fine just as it is. But what I'm going to do again is dip into my blending solution with my paper stump that's for my brown, and I am starting on the middle bit so that I don't darken the mid-tone too much, and then going out to the edge to complete the blend, and then I'll just gradually bring it back in again. And what I can do again is, if I want to have even more drama, I can go back in, but probably you only want to do this maybe once or twice, because like I say, that wax will sink into the paper and then you won't be able to add any more. Okay, so that's our middle done, and that's what I would do. Sorry, I just swiped my pencils across the screen there. That's what I would do to complete my flower, and obviously the first time around I would have finished all my petals off at the same time. Now let's have a look at the leaves. For my Tri-Blend base coat, I am using the light green blend. Here we go. But I'm using the LG 3 this time, which is a middle one. It's still pale, but it's the right shade of pale that I wanted. This one on the end here is really almost like an icy green. I wanted something just a little bit darker, so I've gone for the mid-tone on this occasion. So you can just choose whatever you like. You don't have to have the lightest of everything, but you do need it fairly pale just to make sure you preserve that highlight. And again, I am colouring the whole lot with my pen. I'm using the Tri-Blend regular pens because they've got a pointy end, which means that particularly in the case of this stem, I am finding it easier to colour than with the brush version. So all over, making sure I don't miss any. Okay, I'm not going to do the final leaf. I'm going to just stick to this one here. Sorry, it was a bit off shot there. There we go. Hopefully you got the idea by now of what we're doing though. And then I've picked 2 more pencils, and these are both from the Naturals box of pencils. Here they go. And they are Viridian, which is quite a dark green, and Amazon green, which is going to be my mid-tone. So again, oops, sorry, there we have the mid-tone, and I'm swiping it down from the darkest, what I think would be the darkest areas, into the lightest. And on this leaf I am doing the same thing, but because it's quite a big area, I'm just going to, I'm literally scribbling. And this leaf I think would be darker in the middle here because this area is folded over, so it's casting a shadow here, and up here it's coming into the light, because don't forget I'm doing my light coming in this direction, so this would be the lightest area. And then this is the folded over bit. Again, there'd be a dark area at the bottom, but there would be a light area up above. And again, the key is add colour, don't press too hard, otherwise you will not be able to add anything else on top. Now I'm going in with my darkest colour, Viridian, and I am adding, but not coming as far, just like you do with the actual pens themselves really. I'm adding an extra layer but not going quite as far out. Now this really is quite a bright green actually, but it's mixing with what I've put underneath, so hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit of contrast when I go in with my blending stump. Okay, so now I am ready to blend, dipping, and I'm going to start with the stalk, and I'm just swiping down, swiping up, and that's literally all I need to do with that. I'm going to go for another little dip, and I am colouring my green leaf. I'm starting in the middle so that I don't lose my highlight and my mid-tone completely, and then I'm going to my darker area. And again, there's no rules, and hopefully you can see there is some contrast. It's not showing up too well, to be fair. I'm going to go back in and add a bit more of my darker green, and pressing a little bit harder this time because this will be my last go, so I'm not worried that I can't add any more at this point, but it just didn't quite feel like I had enough contrast. There we go, and back with my blending stump. And I think we've got a bit more light and shade there. Now the next thing I am going to do is add a bit more depth and shade, and I'm going to go back to my taupe pencil, and in the darkest areas I'm just swiping down, and you can see that immediately it doesn't change the colour, but it does make a difference to the tone that you're seeing. And actually one of the nice things about this technique is that you can leave a little bit of a pencil texture on here if you want to, so you don't have to colour everything in. There we go. There, I'm going to leave it at that for that part. And now what I want to do, imagine that this is all coloured all together. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. I want to add a little bit of edging on around my flower to make it pop out from the white card. And this looks a little bit scary at first, but once it dries it looks quite nice. So I'm just bringing in another Tri-Blend pen, and this is called Brown Grey Blend. I like this for shading because it's got a slightly warmer tone than Ice Grey, so it does sort of mixing better with all of your colours, especially floral colours. So I'm going to go with BG1, which is, sorry, BG2, which is the lightest colour here. And what I'm going to do is outline the whole of my image. So I'm just going around the edge, drawing a line, and that initially looks, to the naked eye, not so much on here, it looks quite scary dark, and you'll think, oh no, what have I done? But it dries and fades to a really nice soft colour, which just tricks the eye into thinking that this item is actually slightly raised from the page. So when you add a background on the back, you'll find that this doesn't get so lost within it, and you're literally going all the way around. Doesn't matter if you're a bit wobbly. Normally you would move your paper around so that you're comfortable with the holding of your pen, but obviously I'm trying not to do that because of this video. So there we go. Just finish those off quickly, coming in from the other side. If you're left-handed like me, it's probably easier to work from right to left. There we go. So that's completed that, and I'm hoping that you can actually see it. It's barely visible on here. It looks a bit darker in real life. And then the next thing I'm going to do, because there's no rules, once you put the pencil on, doesn't mean you can't go back in with one of your alcohol pens. I want to darken the shading even more, just for a bit more drama. So I'm going to my mid colour on that Brown Grey Blend, which is BG3, and on some of the areas that I've already done, I'm just adding in some darkness. Hopefully you can see that there, and what that's doing is it's just emphasizing the shade. You just hardly need any. There we go. And the same here, and especially my leaf, because I really want to bring a bit of dark shade into this area because of the curvature of the little folded over leaf, and also there where it's probably sort of a bit crinkled up. There we go. So that is the basis of the colouring, and as you can see, I've been doing this in real time. I haven't cut anything out. That's quite quick to do, and it wouldn't take very long to finish off these last few petals and this leaf. So now I'm just going to bring back my finished card and just talk through how I completed it. So back to my finished card, I'll just quickly talk through what I did to complete it. So as I mentioned earlier, the stamp set comes with a little mask, and I'm just going to bring that in. There it is, made of mylar, so it's quite sturdy. And what I've done in this case is I've just placed it on the top there to cover up my flower, whilst I used a stencil brush to add some ink around the edges. Now you can either hold on to your stencil like this if you want to, or what you can do is on the underside, I used the tiniest little dot of Zig pen, the blue ones where it dries as temporary if you leave it to dry, and then just put, I don't know, one there, one there, one there, turned it over, stuck it onto my thing, and it doesn't give a strong hold that's going to ruin your artwork, but it just gives it a little hold so that you can be a bit more free with your brush and carry on with your background. So I used a sort of ochre yellow and a brownish colour for my background, and then I did a splatter with the dark colour to add, I always think that adds a little bit of movement and life. I edged my card using a fine liner pen like this. There we go. And basically you just draw a wibbly line all the way around, turning as you go. I find it easier to pull towards me, and then you repeat the process again, and then you end up with this little bit of interest which breaks up the starkness of the white. I mounted onto coordinating card, so I picked a brown to kind of offset the brown splatters and a pink to go with the pink to bring the balance. And then these are really useful little sentiments, which if you were watching Crafters Companion at the time these were released, these sentiments came along with the bundle for this card, but basically they're just loads of words which are all separate, loads and loads of words, so you can make up almost any sentiment. You just stamp them and then just cut them out with scissors. They don't have to be perfectly cut with a guillotine or anything like that. You just cut them roughly, because the idea is they're sort of like sketchy tags if you want. So that's what I did, and I chose Just Because, and I've offset mine so that I don't fall into that trap of trying to put something straight and then it's not quite straight. So that's my final card. I hope you like this, and I hope to see you again on my next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.